thinking. Um, so there was this. I talk about, different sectors I can go into and I can agree with people on different things. Um, all last year, up until like late last year, I always spent time on, and it would be weird, I guess, to some people. Like I said, I would go on opposing, I guess, things with the divested side in the manosphere. Specifically because of political reasons. For one, I started going to the manosphere, I think mostly for political purposes, because some people on that side of manosphere would be more conservative. And I'm conservative, so I'll subscribe to anyone who's conservative and black, and yeah, that's just what I'll do. It doesn't matter what else they say about it. I'll subscribe to them. And even if they're not conservative, at the last year, it was kind of like to do with the whole situation. I'm not talking about that too much because yeah. But if anyone was a supporter, I was one to support their channel basically. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I frequented the manosphere side of YouTube often. The black manosphere, the red pill manosphere too, the white red pill manosphere. Both sides, it really didn't matter to me. I mean, you you have to realize for me, one, I don't know, like if someone isn't someone that I feel I'd prefer, I don't feel they're the enemy. Basically, like if I think that they're not ideal in behavior or attitude or outlook in, you know, and being with or dating, I'm not looking to date anyone on YouTube. So I mean, like, I don't care if like they have a weird mindset towards women or whatever. To me personally, it's kind of like, oh well, that's just not for me personally. For somebody else in the world. And I mean, like, I just had this conversation like yesterday on. I was saying how I thought like people were meant for each other, and they find their one and only, you know, specifically for whoever that is. Someone else was trying to point out that if they were like hurt, they wouldn't be able to find the person. I don't think so because I think some people can handle broken people. But it's just like for me personally, I can't handle a broken person. If you understand anything about my background and how I am like a kiss, okay? With everything, I'm kiss, okay? What kiss means is keep it simple, stupid. Seriously, that's how I live my life. Is just keep it simple. I don't give a darn about what else. And this is why certain things in my life when it comes to relationships, I'm very like I've never been in relationships or like really been involved with men. Never really been into like dating and stuff like that. I've dated a couple times, but when I was in my early 20s, it was like, no, I will not do any of that. Like that's how what my mindset was. You don't do anything at all ever that makes life ever complicated. Anything. It's always keep it simple, stupid for me. That's all I've ever been on. That mode, basically. Keep it simple, stupid. End of story. Doesn't matter about anything else. Keep it simple, stupid. You know. So I'm like, I could never put up with anybody like that. But with that in mind, like, I was thinking, I know this kind of came out of left field, but I'm just trying to bring up in my history, I have been on that side. Like, I've watched content, I've talked to people, I've uh, been in their live chat and comment section. The first live stream I was on was in the manosphere because, like, But in that regard, it was just in my perspective on colorism, which personally, when it comes to that many of the time, I agree with the manosphere side of things. Not always, but sometimes I do. Um, the problem is with them is that generally I don't, I'm a swirler and I'm a divester. And that's the main thing. Like, for example, take the first live stream that I did. The whole thing went very peacefully and smoothly. As long as I didn't bring up that I was a swirler or a divester, and considering nobody asked me if I liked white guys, if I like Asian guys, if I like Hispanic guys, it went smooth because nobody asked. And as you can listen and watch my videos, many of the time when I talk about men and relationships, and if I'm talking about colorism, well, with colorism, it depends. Like, if I'm just talking about the females, because, like, in that regard, I was specifically just trying to talk about dark skinned black women because it was about Rashida Strawberry, you know. Um, so, in that regard, people don't usually recognize what I am. And that's the thing, it's weird on Black YouTube for me because I can go on, like I said, I could go on those sectors and I had no problem with that. Before they kind of recognized who I was because more people saw my content and shit. Because, I mean, I had 33,000 views on my channel, so obviously people watch, you know. And before that, though, like I said, before I was really had my content like visible or people knew anything about me, it was generally like um, I would go on the Manny side and there'd be a problem. If I went on the divested side, it could or could not be a problem. If I went on the manosphere side, it would be like it depends on what I said, basically. So if I specified that I liked white men, then of course there's a problem. If I was just talking about colorism, then it's a different situation. And this is something that I came across in my previous channel, you know, uh, back in 2019, because it was always like, well, I was more so back then in like the light skin sector of things pro light skin. That's what my aim was. But the thing is, a lot of people who are pro light skin are really just pro black men. So for me, it was always the difference of my interest in white men and mixed men. Because back then I was really much more into mixed men as what I basically promoted, but I also pointed out that I am, you know, spoiler too. It's just like I've always had the same perspective when it comes to this whole situation as this. One, you know, it's all about availability. Two, it's all about, you know, who's more populous in the country and your area. For me, it's white men or men that look like they are white. So therefore, that's why I generally prefer that. But back then, like way, way back, it was kind of like, it seemed like most of the time the people would, we would be alright with each other when it came to that. But the only problem was about would be that they didn't like and they didn't appreciate that, I didn't prefer black men. And You know, among lighter skinned mammies, it's always a problem. Like, they love to police you on who you are with because it's an inferior complex going on there. Like, oh, I'm with my man who isn't mixed or white and he's black, and I feel now inferior if you do not want to be with the same type of men as me. And so then it was that whole big problem there. And to me, that's when I was like, kind of like, I've always known that that's where I fit if I liked black men. Because that all the whole situation, if I like black men, I would basically fit in those sectors. The thing is, I don't, so it's like I can't really hide that. I can't fake it really to me. And, it's kind of like a situation where, people can't help who they're attracted to, It comes naturally, who you're interested in, who you're not interested in. It's not something you can control. Um, but I don't know. I just wanted to do a video on this because I thought it was kind of an interesting fact, kind of. Because it's like, you know, when I try to be in spaces where it's more pro black women or like divested or swirler or mammies, it's always like I'm just trying to win people over, really. And as if it's a situation where, you know, it's an uphill battle, basically, in my experience at least. Like, at best, people just ignore you and just be happy that you agree with them. Or at worst, they'll just really be after you and angry at and even assume you're gonna speak against them, no matter what you posted. I've had that happen several times where people would get upset and just assume I was pro black men simply by just looking at me. And it would be so weird. Like, why are you so easily assuming what I'm gonna say or what I believe simply off of what? I don't know. Maybe my picture. Maybe I don't know. But like wouldn't even know what I said or not really understand what I said or pay attention enough to understand I'm divested. But maybe that goes back into how I talk about, rejection from black men and being a mammy and, that whole side of it. Maybe I just don't give that feel off of being like a past mammy because I never was mammy. Like, I guess, was my mother a mammy originally? I guess to my mother never liked dark skinned black men. She liked mixed men. People out here like to call that as a part of the swirler side. Like, I've seen plenty of people who are swirlers who said they like mixed men. Always to me was, I don't know. But I guess maybe she was never a mammy then. I guess my grandma was mammy. It's very far, far back for me. I'm pretty sure my other grandma was a mammy for sure. She was a white passing mammy. But anyway, maybe I guess that's why I just don't give off the feel of being a mammy because I mean, like it's so far distant and my family. Dallas, you're on the thing. I can't hear the music. So yeah, I just thought that that was just something that I had a realization of. Basically, it was just kind of. something to think of. When I first like had my channel here, it was always like people who regularly frequented my channel were usually from the manosphere. They weren't actually all that negative in the first place. I think they didn't realize I was a swirler, which is weird because my first videos were on swirling. Maybe they just weren't paying attention. I don't know. But they maybe they're watching another video because I had some conservative videos out there, like the one on the N word. I got a lot of people on the N word one. I want to do another video on that too because I don't feel like it enough of a video there. Like I didn't speak enough on it. But anyway, I just thought it was a weird realization being a divested swirler. Yeah, for me, it always seemed like it was more comfortable starting off to talk in the manosphere than it was in the divested sectors. Like, for example, the first time I called a channel that was divested, they literally got mad at me at the end and called me a white girl and said that I was just trying to bash interracial relationships. And I never even said anything negative about interracial relationships. I was a neophyte back then anyway. I mean, like, I've never really been in relationships like that, like, really deeply into any. And I was just basically talking about my own personal experiences. But I mean, like, I wasn't saying that I was looking to get married, comparing my, little small dating experiences and things like that that were not really meant to be going anywhere. We're not supposed to be compared to, a full grown old woman trying to look to, settle down and marry somebody. That, that's so, maybe they didn't know my age, I guess, but usually people know that I'm a younger person, so it's kind of weird when people try and compare like their relationship experience to mine. I mean, like for me, I don't know. I mean, some people do want to focus on like relationships and stuff at that at my age and stuff, but it's like usually from my experience, like if you have something to focus on, like your career or something, it's like why would I want to be distracted, basically. Like I said in the beginning, I've always tried to keep it simple. So, um, yeah, it's just basically, um, yeah, I had it a little harder, I guess you could say, in the sword divested sector. That doesn't mean that I don't identify as divested. I definitely do. It's just I feel like I am a bit of a different type of divested swirler to some people, and I think that has to do with my racial background to some extent, uh, and my experience with colorism, and the fact that I'm not a past mammy. So my mother, and that's why I say my background, because my mother was not really a mammy. She wasn't attracted to, I guess, dark-skinned black men, the typical image, basically. She wasn't attracted to that, never has been. And, my father wasn't a dark skinned black man, obviously. He was mixed race. And, so what I grew up being told to prefer was people who were white. Um, so my experience is different when they talk about divested, because divested means um, trying to divest, basically. Remove yourself from the black community, remove yourself from black men. Me, I'm not like that because black people, black men and black women, especially black women, my mother divested herself from black women. She didn't. My mother has had some issues, basically. And if you can listen to the video where I have her tape talking about black women, and black men too. Um, she has different negative views on people. Okay, that's just how she is. And so how I grew up was kind of like I was raised away from black men and black women, you know, both, you know, and so I lived a kind of divested life, I guess you could say. Divested childhood, divested toddlerhood. So for me, it's just kind of like, my experience is a little different in that sense. When people have certain things to complain about, trying to get away from their family members and things of that nature, my family members aren't like that. For one, uh, my family members are my direct family members, my mother. I don't have any other direct family members. I have a brother, but that's through my father, and my father died before I was born. Um, and it wasn't my father's fault at all. It was some violent black man killed him. Um, so I mean that's why I didn't grow up with my brother because it's through my father basically. So I just have my mother. So I mean like I never had any connection to black men. It's just really not been there for me. Um, and that could be another reason why I'm a swirler and a divester, but not a swirler and a divester out of a reason having to do with the character of black men or something black men have done wrong to me or something that I've interacted with black men on any level. I haven't really interacted with black men. The only thing that I interacted with black men with by the time it's too late and I've already basically developed my own interests and sexual interests and things of that nature, I'm like 18 and up, that's when I start interacting more with black men in the sense of like at school and stuff, where, you get harassed and stuff, things of that nature, those problems, But by that time, it's too late because I've already been immersed with like people of other races all my childhood, teenhood, and everything. And to me, what's normal is, something I think different than a lot of people within the black community. And I still see that today. So, yeah, that's why I think there's a lot of differences in those regards, but it's not with all the divested sectors. Many of the divested and smaller sectors are very divested, so then I find more commonality with them. The ones who are, I guess you could say, newly divested or a little bit, I don't know, um, different I have a harder time relating. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to point all this out because I just kind of thought this realization was kind of like something just worth noting. So, yeah, thanks for listening, I guess. And bye.